Hey guys, it's NYC Geek Society. Jon, that's me, and Axel here. And we want to talk about the panel that happened at E3 for accessibility in games. And so it's about making games more accessible for gamers that have physical disabilities. So what's interesting is they had one guy there who is legally blind named James Rath. And it's interesting that he's saying he sees things constantly out of focus. His earliest memories of playing video games, playing Pokemon with like that Game Boy magnifier. I remember I had that actually. Yeah. And he said he could play games that have like more solid colors and more clear sound cues, and that was really interesting.
Yeah, he also mentioned that he likes to play Splatoon.
Yeah.
He actually I think he won like a tournament.
Right, yeah.
Just because of the distinct colors that game has. If you guys haven't played it, it's like a shooting game, except you're shooting paint at each other, and you have to fill the stage with paint to win.
And Emma Larson was there, and her disability is she has like her joints lock sometimes, but she got really into like playing Mortal Kombat. Basically, what they were talking about, they also had a guy who was developing, Sam Thompson, who developed software for at Sony Worldwide Studios, and how they try to implement accessibility options in their games like God of War and Uncharted and Last of Us. And then they had another guy, what was his name? Did you get his name?
The other guy... Bryce Johnson. He's in inclusive need, product research and accessibility. Basically, he was heading up design of the Xbox adaptive controller.
Right, which has been in the news, gaming news for the past couple of weeks, where it's basically a controller where you could sort of customize almost everything about it, and it's really interesting. Like, so it's basically trying to make things more accessible for players, and like I've thought about this. Like, what if someone like me, like some tragic accident happens and like would prevent me from playing video games, which has been my lifelong passion. It's nice to know that there are people out there that are letting players be able to do what they love, Yeah,
not only thinking of it as something to tack on to the end of the game process, but something that they're thinking about all throughout.
Yeah, and they said that, if you do have accessibility issues for a game and you want to do something about, like, you could reach out to these developers that are saying, like, we'll try to help you, I find that to be good for everybody involved.
And they also mentioned like it's difficult to make a game fully accessible because if you look down the list, it's almost impossible to nail down like every single condition.
But he said do the best you can.
Yeah, this is something that Sam Thompson noted. So he's like the Sony accessibility lead. He mentioned that, basically just getting something done is better than getting nothing done at all. So just do your due diligence as a developer to put these features in as early as possible, and don't think of it as like a last minute thing, because then it might be too late at that point to implement anyway, and you end up with, I don't know, a lot of fans that can't play your game.
Yeah, and something else that I found interesting was they were talking about that, what's kind of nice is when you're playing video games, you might not even know that you're playing with someone that is disabled unless they tell you. And so they said they kind of feel like empowered and sort of like on a level playing field, which is a nice experience for them to have. They say, that, it's fun that they could beat someone that's completely able-bodied.
Yeah, they mentioned that.
But yeah,
still quite competitive.
It's kind of nice to know that, they said the last few years they realized that they've been walling off people that, unintentionally, and that they just can't do that anymore. You need to be more inclusive. And it's great to know that there's whole departments in the industry that are dedicating themselves to
I mean,
that.
I have no doubt it's because online gaming has been on the rise, and in other panels, particularly I believe it was the Forza conference, they were talking about how important community is, and I'm sure because
So there's more awareness.
I believe there's more awareness because these game companies are trying to form events around their games, and they're getting a lot more feedback, probably more than ever before.
That's interesting.
So if you have an issue with the game, you should say something, or else they're just not going to be aware of it. Because as I said before, like the list of conditions is huge, and if you have a problem with it in particular, you have to let your voice be known.
So yeah, I mean, you could check out the panel too once that goes up. But yeah, it's just nice to know that that's something that's being thought of. So yeah, again, check out all of the videos that we've done the last couple of days. Like, share, subscribe,
Hit the bell.
and NYC Geek out.